Before we get to our friends, let me just set this up. This congressman is saying that weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Mounjaro are the key to reducing the national debt. Now, let's introduce our newsmakers. How about that?
We love that.
Yeah.
Jon Hansen is joining us this morning. Bardella is also joining us, so is Susan Guthrie. So.
Yeah, we're very, very happy to have you guys here. So apparently, these drugs have been contested. I mean, this is controversial now. People saying, why are you taking a diabetes drug to lose weight? What are the side effects? We don't know enough. Why did the FDA approve it? But for a congressman to actually put this forth as a viable solution to eliminate the nation's debt, and he's serious, is somewhat fascinating. Jon, I'm going to start with you. You're a money guy.
Yeah.
He's saying that even a Business Insider article says that if people were smaller, then they would save the airlines lots of money because they would have to use less fuel on planes.
Okay, around the fringes, there is some weight to the argument, I guess to say, no pun intended.
That's why you're on radio.
Right, exactly. But the glaring hole in the argument is a good problem. If people are taking Ozempic or these drugs to lose weight and they live longer, that is not going to help the national debt. People living longer hurts the national debt. Entitlements, people living...
We want people to live longer and healthier.
We do.
But we're going to be expensive anyway, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And the Social Security is getting more expensive. Less than 10 years till we're going to start dipping in, making it less solvent. And if people are going to keep on living longer, which is great, I just want to say that, not good for the national debt.
We're still going to be paying for it.
He wants
No.
Right, there you go. Exactly. But living longer isn't necessarily living healthier.
Well, exactly. And health, I think, is really the issue that we're talking about here. And, you know, if people are weighing less, people are healthier. And if people are healthier, we're spending a lot less money to keep them healthy. And I think that's at the core of what he's talking about here. And we're not paying a lot of attention to that. So it seems to make a lot of sense. I just saw something recently that said if people weighed less, the people that are using these drugs have a 20% less risk of heart attack and stroke, which, you know, is a significant number if you think about it.
That's important. We don't want to have a stroke or heart disease or anything else. But, I mean, Kurt, this is a Republican congressman. I am sure he's getting heat from both sides of the aisle on this one, even though I think it's well-intentioned. And I think he is destigmatizing
Listen, I know David. I've used to work for him, so I can tell you, he's a wonk. And he is a former treasurer of Maricopa County, so he approaches the world from this very, sorry, David, nerdy perspective. And that's really, he was just playing this intellectual exercise in his mind. He did not intend this to be policy. This is just how David kind of thinks. And like anyone who's ever worked with him will tell you, he walks around the office espousing all kinds of things through that nerd treasurer accountant kind of lens.
He's looking at all these stats.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, the math, if it adds up,
right,
means that we'd actually save trillions of dollars if everybody goes on Ozempic.
Right. And anyone who's ever worked for members of Congress will tell you, they espouse all kinds of random stuff.
They're talking it out
all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I heard about this thing. You know what? If we did it this way, we could save $1 trillion and extend humanity's life. All problem solved.
I think they're trying their best. I think that the heart's right again. They're public servants trying to talk things out and see what sticks on the wall. But
he meant well.
I don't know that this one will. Really? Okay.
Speaking of money, though.
Let's talk about money.
We're talking about millennials who have also said, Susan, that they believe they know the amount that would make them happy. About 6 in 10 of Americans believe money can buy happiness, according to a new poll from financial services firm Empower. Most say they need a significant raise as well as a big chunk of money in the bank. How much money is enough money to make a person happy?
Well, according to that, about $264,000 a year, which I think most people would agree with. But, you know, I was thinking about this as we were reading this. Wasn't it Cher that said, I've been rich and I've been poor? Rich is a lot better.
Is that Cher?
I thought
that was my grandfather. Seriously, I'm like, who doesn't believe that? Yeah, if you're going to be, money can just make you more comfortable while you're miserable if you're not a happy person.
Right. Let's think about it, right? Money is one of those things that if we have enough of it, we don't have to worry about paying our bills. And I think that's really at the core of this, right? Yeah. It's not the amount, it's the amount that makes us feel secure.
Fewer worries. Okay, Jon, you're a money guy.
Yeah.
I would think that you thought, even in college, as you were studying finance, I presume.
Oh, no. Radio.
You studied radio, but you got into finance.
Yes.
You're a smart cookie. But over the years, have you thought yourself, like, this is the number? And you don't have to tell us your number. That's kind of private.
No, but
have you thought yourself, like, I need this much money to pursue my dreams?
No, I think it is about security. I think it's about feeling safe. I found it shocking that that number for millennials was about 3 or 4 times higher than the rest of the age groups. And I think that millennials, I'm a geriatric millennial is what they call me.
We were talking earlier about geriatric millennials, yeah.
We are at the age where a lot of older millennials are expected to have home ownership by now. They don't have that.
It's so true.
So they, I think, are really feeling the pinch of what salaries were supposed to be. They're also the generation that came to the workforce during the 08 recession, right? Money means a lot to different things to different generations, including millennials.
Well, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.